Welcome to Outlaw Woodworking. You know, the last couple weeks I've been getting a lot of questions about how I keep my shop so clean, and wow, your shop's really neat, mine's messy and all this stuff. But the truth is I clean it. I work in my shop every single day. There's not one day that goes by that I'm not making sawdust in the shop. Some kind of sawdust or gluing or paint, you know. I make a lot of sawdust in the shop, and I have time on my hands and I like to do it, so it's fun. But the key to the whole thing has been this Dust Right shop vac. And originally I used a rigid shop vac, and I'll show it to you in a second. And I started off, when I first started working on my shop, I started off with a rigid shop vac, and then I upgraded. I had the rigid shop vac, and then I had a small dust deputy with a cyclone on the you know, it's one of those small dust deputy cyclones hooked up to the shop vac, and I liked that. It actually worked pretty good, and I still incorporate that sometimes. Like if I'm doing a whole bunch of router work, and I'm using my router fence, I'll use the 4-inch dust collection on the main router cabinet, and then I'll use the dust deputy on the actual router fence, and I'll show you how I do that. But anyway, like my shop, what I did when I set up my shop is I spent like 2 weeks and I slaved and I grinded this whole floor and I epoxied this whole floor. So the floor is really easy to clean up. If you spill oil or glue or grease, you can get it up the next day. And anyway, the truth is I vacuum every day, and it's not easy, but this particular system has made it really nice. And so I've got the 1250 Dust Right vacuum system. I've got the 1 micron filter, and you can see this doesn't usually this gets hardly anything in it, but you can see I have quite a bit down there, and this bag's been on there 2 months. So most of the stuff goes in this big Oneida cyclone into this barrel, and I just emptied this barrel a couple days ago. But it's really easy to operate, so if I need to empty it out, I just pull that off, pull my barrel out, and that's a couple days right there, because I just emptied it out. And this has a really good seal. That's one of the reasons I actually got this barrel, because I saw a few people, they had some cardboard barrels, and they ended up having problems with them. So I like this, and it has another access point up here, but you can't really use that because then you bypass your cyclone, so it defeats the purpose. So I don't really use that. I just go straight to this. And I have another hose, but really my shop's a small shop, and I think it's a 25-foot hose. It reaches pretty much anywhere. Anyway, let me go through each tool and show you how I hook it up and show you how I keep the shop clean. And yeah, all right. One of the things that puts out a lot of dust in every shop, and it gets used the most. I mean, between the table saw and the chop saw, you know, you're using these 2 items the most. But this item, I've got a 4-inch. It comes with a 2-inch port, but I've got a 2x4 fitting on it, and so I can hook up my 4-inch dust collection right to it, and I get no dust from this. As long as I remember to turn it on and I'm using it, I'll get a little bit sometimes around the cabinet, and I'll just come in with the little small I have this small attachment that I come in and I'll clean off all the tools in the afternoon. And otherwise, with this 4-inch hose, I get no dust out of this thing. Then I switch it right over. Then I switch it right over from here. I can switch it right to my chop saw. And my chop saw is pretty unique. I'll have to give you a picture underneath of it. But this chop saw, I used to get a lot of dust out of it. And it has, every chop saw's got a 2-inch port. So in the back, I've got a 2-inch hose that goes straight down and hooks in here. I've then got a T that goes into a funnel. And I've got this big funnel in the back that, because the chop saw, it collects a lot, it makes a lot of dust. But that funnel sucks all that extra dust that the 2-inch port doesn't get. It sucks it down there. And I can literally be here with no mask and have no dust. And I'll give you a close-up view of that. Okay, this isn't the easiest view, but you can see the 4-inch hose right there. You can see I have a 2-inch Y, a 4x2 fitting, then a 2-inch Y, and then a 2x4-inch fitting going up to that funnel in the back. And that's what collects all. This thing does really good. And this is a ROCKLER fitting and a ROCKLER hose, obviously. Those are some PowerTech fittings back there. And then that's also a PowerTech funnel. But it works extremely well. Next up is my rigid joiner. And what I did here is I put a ROCKLER 4-inch adapter that goes to the ROCKLER fitting. And then I put a PowerTech adapter to control. So the joiners, these didn't have dust collection on them. They just had a chute that shot out sawdust. And it shoots out a lot of sawdust. But now it shoots out hardly anything. And so since I added this dust collection to this thing has been amazing. And this was a Craigslist find, and I've rebuilt it and adjusted it, and it's been fantastic. I really like the Grizzly products, actually. I was hoping someday they would sponsor me. Anyway, that's dust collection for the Grizzly joiner, and it's been fantastic. Next up is my Grizzly Zero Geo 555 bandsaw. It comes with a 4-inch port right in the back, so it already comes equipped. You just have to get the ROCKLER adapter for it, and that's what I did. Now, bandsaws are tough because even though you're controlling the dust inside of here, actually, look how clean that is. And there's a little dust up there. But for the most part, the dust is in here, not too much up here, just pretty much down here. So you have a 4-inch port right down here in the bottom. The problem is, matter of fact, there's some up there right now. Oops. The problem is, between here and the table, there's not really any dust collection. And I've seen people you can add some stuff here. And I thought in the future I might do that. You can put a 4x2 Y here and then have it come up and do a custom little boot that'll collect a lot of that extra dust. But for the most part, I seem to be able to control it pretty good. But I do have to, scoop up some dust a little bit in the afternoon around the bandsaw. Okay, next up. Now really close by, everything's close by when you have a small shop, is something that I'm really proud of. I installed this Jasm router lift, And I get so much use out of this. Let's say you got your 4-inch dust right hooked up to the bottom of your router. You still get a lot of dust. Even though it's sucking down through here pretty good, you still get a lot of dust up here on the top. And once you got your router, up here, you need secondary dust collection. And in the future, I'm going to put a T here where I can just have another hose stretched around to here. I hook up a line directly to that. So you can see right here, I'm hitting it from 2 angles. I'm sucking from the bottom of the router table, and then I'm also sucking from up here at the fence. And I only do that if I'm doing a lot of stuff. And that seems to work pretty good for that. Anyway, moving on down. Next up is one of my newest items, which is this rigid oscillating sander. And I'm really happy with it. The only time the dust is a problem is actually when I forget to turn on the dust collector. Otherwise, it's got really good dust collection. It's got a 2 1/4 inch port, and of course I'm hooking up a 4-inch hose to it, so that seems to work really well. Anyway, yeah, moving on down. Next up is something everybody fights with, and that's their sander. So what I've done is, ROCKLER makes these fittings that I put one on the chop saw and I put one here, and it's a 4x2 fitting, and it basically is made for this, so you can stick this right on there. And what I've done is I've attached my rigid orbital sander right to it, and when this thing's hooked up, and I get no dust from this rigid sander at all. And that's pretty nice for a sander. Now, I'm going to get different hoses for this. ROCKLER makes some different hose configurations, and like I have a Makita orbital sander that's exactly like this one, but the dust collection is not very good because the adapter is not very good. So I'm going to try out a few different sanders on this. But right now this rigid one works the best, so I just leave it hooked up, and when I need it, I just grab it. It's already in there, and then I've got grinders and stuff down there. But let's see. So that's all the items that I have hooked up to dust collection, and really what I do is I use this hose. The first thing I do is I hook up this adapter. And originally, when I got this front part, it just broke off, but I ended up hot gluing them together, and they've been working really good. So I'll go around and I'll use this. I'll vacuum off everything up high. I'll vacuum off my tabletop. I'll vacuum off anything that's left over on the chop saw station, the table saw, my pellet stove, the band saw, the joiner, the sander, even around the dust right vacuum, around the windows. I'll vacuum everything with this. I'll switch over to this big attachment, and I'll vacuum the whole shop. The nice thing about this high volume vacuums, if you drop screws or like specialty washers or anything, it won't pick that stuff up. It will only pick up the wood chips and sawdust. So yeah, so anyway, that's how I keep my shop clean and dust free, and that's how I've done my dust collection so far. And so far, you know, except for tripping over the hose, I'd say I'm really happy with this system. And it's really made my life down here in the shop nice because, you know, I make sure and vacuum every single day. And that way after I'm done and I'm looking around, you know, maybe I'm looking at some thing I made or something, you know, I feel good about it. And then when I wake up the next morning and I come down to my shop, it's clean and ready to go. And I think that's a plus. So anyway, yeah, dust collection in a small shop, it's definitely important. And yeah, thank you for watching. Subscribe, like the video, ring the bell, and I will see you tomorrow. Later.